I made some comments out there, and we were both talking about Nick Walker, and he made some comments, and I made some comments. Listen, it's all just in the interest of fun to me and all that.
Sure. Now, first off, here's Bob trying to save face.
We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We know that the athletes today are a little bit more sensitive.
Someone must have gave him a call, said, "Calm down, Bobby boy. Calm down." This is what is not constructive criticism, Bob Cicherillo. I want you to listen to this and learn, because you got things twisted. Okay? Constructive criticism is not saying, "Oh, I'll announce you 8th place on the Mr. Olympia, Nick Walker." Is that constructive criticism? Or is that a personal, disrespectful attack on that athlete, on that professional athlete? Well, we would never get your pro card back in the 80s and 90s, Nick Walker. Is that constructive criticism, Bob Cicherillo? Or is that a personal, disrespectful attack? Bob should be the consummate professional. He's announcing these guys on the Olympia stage for some of the biggest moments of their careers in their lives. And here you have the MC, the voice of the show that represents the Olympia brand, talking shit about one of the biggest athletes that steps on that stage. Okay, I don't hate Bob. I'm just reporting on what I see. Just because I report on someone doesn't mean I hate them. But I just find this hilarious that Bob is just digging himself deeper and deeper into this, in this whole honorary athletes rep debacle that he's put himself into. Is that what you want, Fuad, Abiyad? Looks like it. Looks like you're kind of stabbing Nick Walker in the back and taking Bob Cicherillo's side here. I think that would be a much better look for the Olympia if they had an MC that didn't disrespect one of the biggest athletes going into the show, that placed 3rd at the Olympia and has a very, very large following on social media. I'm going to point it out. A lot of people don't like it. I'm sure Bob doesn't like it. I'm sure a lot of other people don't like it. But I'm going to point it out. And that's what you're going to find here in Muscle Discord. Full transparency is with what's happening in the industry. And I'm going to call it out. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Muscle Discord. And man, we got a lot of updates today. The entertainment continues. Nick Walker brilliantly mocks, trolls, whatever you want to call it, Bob Cicherillo. And well done, Nick Walker. Well done. Nicely played. That's how you do it. It makes a t-shirt that says, "Who the fuck is Bob? 8th place." Based off Bob's recent comments about Nick Walker on his show. Now, let's just play the clips here real quick of Nick Walker's response he did on his IG stories, and then we'll take it from there. All right.
I feel like I'm going to have to make a shirt of this. You know what I mean? I don't ever think he even did the show. You know, I never thought my beef would be with the athletes rep. Kind of sad when you think about it.
And yeah, I agree, Nick Walker. It is kind of sad when you think about it. Because Bob just put out a video today, shortly after Nick Walker posted this shirt video of him mocking Bob. And he comes out and he says, I'm not the athlete's rep. I'm not the athlete's rep. Well, Nick Walker thinks you're the athlete's rep. A lot of people, Bob, think you're the athlete's rep. Why? Why do they think that? Are they stupid? Am I stupid? Are all the people, all the YouTubers that are calling you the athlete's rep, are we all stupid, Bob Cicherillo? Let's go on to the next video here with Bob on his show talking about how this athlete's rep thing all started. Well, let's find out. Let's go down memory lane here and let Bob Cicherillo try to save face, right? Because he's getting publicly destroyed pretty much, and it's not working out. He's not really doing a good job. Again, I got nothing against Bob. Okay, I don't hate Bob. I'm just reporting on what I see. Just because I report on someone doesn't mean I hate them. But I just find this hilarious that Bob is just digging himself deeper and deeper into this, in this whole honorary athletes rep debacle that he's put himself into. He can blame himself for this, nobody else.
But this is what actually led to exactly our next segment. Both of us put our ants in the ring back in the day, talking 25 years ago.
Yep.
And we thought that was a good time for the athletes to get together, not so much against the federation, but for the athletes.
Okay. Pay attention there. So Bob is saying, I'm trying to come together and be the representative for the athletes, right? To represent them in their best interests, like I said in my live show last night. Okay. So this is why people think Bob is the athlete's representative. He started this a long time ago. He's been here forever. And he goes further on in this clip, talking about how he, put in requests for different athletes and, things on their behalf. So Bob, this is why we think you're the athlete's rep. This is why we hold you to that standard of what an athlete rep should be doing in a professional industry.
To stand up for ourselves, to have a voice in our own sport.
Exactly.
And that's when the union starts, talk started and all that. And like you said, they didn't really get anywhere, despite either one of our efforts. Like you said, they just weren't willing to stick together. And because of that, we're still having conversations to this day about $10,000 shows, as we were then. Actually, it was you who started your own show on the heels of the $10,000 show, Sean. Maybe you can share some of that with our audience.
Okay, and then Sean kind of goes in on the show stuff, so that's standard stuff. We don't listen to that, but Sean did do very well and advocate for the athletes and start his own show. So kudos to Sean Ray for stepping up there. Move forward to the next part here. Get you guys up to speed. I gotta be right around right here. All right, let's continue this on.
I made some comments out there, and we were both talking about Nick Walker, and he made some comments, and I made some comments. Listen, it's all just in the interest of fun to me and all that.
Sure. Now, first off, here's Bob trying to save face.
We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We know that the athletes today are a little bit more
Someone must have gave him a call, said, "Calm down, Bobby boy, calm down."
sensitive than they were years ago, and we get that. Listen, it's fine, right? That said, okay, you got to take constructive criticism as a pro. If you can't
Hold that thought. Constructive criticism, Bob Cicherillo. Okay, let's explain to people. Let's put this out on the record now. What in the hell is constructive criticism? Okay, I'm going to put this out on the record right now because we hear this all the time. I say it. Now Bob's saying, I always say, it's constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is, for example, if we're talking about Nick Walker, is to say, Nick Walker, your waist is a little on the big side, it's a little on the blocky side. So I think you need to do whatever it takes to either reduce the size of your waistline or accentuate your shoulders and build up your shoulders even bigger so it takes away from your waist and makes it look smaller. That's constructive criticism. This is what is not constructive criticism, Bob Cicherillo. I want you to listen to this and learn because you got things twisted. Okay? Constructive criticism is not saying, "Oh, I'll announce you 8th place on the Mr. Olympia, Nick Walker." Is that constructive criticism? Or is that a personal, disrespectful attack on that athlete, on that professional athlete? Well, we would never get your pro card back in the 80s and 90s, Nick Walker. Is that constructive criticism, Bob Cicherillo? Or is that a personal, disrespectful attack? You guys leave a comment below. You guys let me know. Is that constructive criticism, which Bob is referring to in this segment, trying to defend himself? Or is it a personal, disrespectful attack? Let me know. Because Bob Cicherillo doesn't seem to understand the difference between the two. Find it very interesting.
Can't take constructive criticism, especially from people who are considered experts, then get out of the sport. Or like I said last week, take up pickleball or something else that nobody is going to give you any flack. And listen,
Constructive
like they say,
criticism.
Nick's a big
Okay,
boy. He
okay.
can take care of himself. He threw out some stuff. I threw out some stuff. So that said, listen, Nick, again, we've talked about this before. Neither one of us have any bone to pick with you personally. It's never a personal thing, okay?
Not personal. Is it not personal, Bob, when you say, you know what, I'm not really a fan of Nick Walker? You said that on the Cutler cast. That's personal. That's your personal thought, Bob. That's not constructive criticism. So, Bob Cicherillo, stop being a hypocrite and saying it's constructive criticism when you're personally attacking and disrespecting Nick Walker. Now, one can flip that and say, well, what about what Nick Walker said about Bob? Bob should take the higher road. Okay, Bob is paid by the Mr. Olympia to MC the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. Okay? He should be taking the higher. Nick Walker, at his own risk as a professional athlete, can say whatever the fuck he wants to say. Because he represents himself. Okay? Bob should be the consummate professional. He's announcing these guys on the Olympia stage for some of the biggest moments of their careers in their lives. And here you have the MC, the voice of the show that represents the Olympia brand, talking shit about one of the biggest athletes that steps on that stage. Now, Bob can try to defend himself and say this is constructive criticism. It's just my opinion. But at some point, Bob, you have to take the high road and stop it with this personal attacks on the athlete, because you don't really do it with any other athlete. You simply just do it to Nick Walker. And what is he supposed to do? Just take it? No, I mean, he's got to respond. He's got to respond. If he's a man, he's got to respond. So I'm glad Nick did. And right now, Nick Walker's winning this battle. I'm going to tell you that right now. He looks like the good guy in this one. And Bobby, you don't look so good. And I hope people watch this and they see the points that I'm making and how you're being a hypocrite. And it needs to stop. If you want to relinquish your title as the MC for the Mr. Olympia, Bob, do it. Then you have your Voice of Bodybuilding podcast and you can go to town. You can rip Nick Walker a new one. You can say he's got H-taper. He's never going to win his pro card. He would have never won this pro card in the 80s or the 90s. Right? Right? Well, you can't announce him 8th place anymore on the stage because you won't be the MC anymore. But at least you can talk shit. And no one would give a shit. Right? So I think that needed to be pointed out and put on the record. I think there's a little bit more. Let's see if there's a little bit more that he says here.
Whether I predict you in any position. And by the way, we've been doing predictions for as long as we've been doing this, 25 years, bro. 30 years, right?
Right.
So it's not unusual for us to give our 2 cents of who's going to place where and whatever.
That's not what we're talking about, Bob.
Okay. That said, people seem to have taken exception because they still fancy me to be in this athlete's rep role.
Nick Walker didn't care that you said he's not going to win the Olympia. Oh, it's a big deal. I say that, fucking 3,000 other people say that, Bob. Nick Walker went on Bro Chat and said it was disrespectful when you went and made those personal digs at him. Address that. Address the personal digs. Address why you said you wouldn't think he would win his pro card in the 80s and 90s. Right? Address why you said he's going to play. I'm going to announce you 8th place at the Olympia, brother. Have fun with that. See you there. Address that. We're not talking about, oh, he's not going to win the Miss Olympia. We say that for everyone aside from the top 2 guys we think are going to win the Miss Olympia. We say Brandon Curry's not going to win the Olympia. Andrew Dack's not going to win. It doesn't matter. No one cares about that. You're trying to distract us with that shit. It's not working. It doesn't work with me. I'm going to point it out. A lot of people don't like it. I'm sure Bob doesn't like it. I'm sure a lot of other people don't like it. But I'm going to point it out. And that's what you're going to find here in Muscle Discord. Full transparency is with what's happening in the industry. And I'm going to call it out. All right. And there's one more piece to this. I saw Mr. Fouad Abiad chimed in here. And it looks like he's, he's defending Bob a little bit here. And kind of throwing Nick Walker under the bus. You guys let me know what you think in the comments.
But as being stripped of a position. This whole guys coming out and, I've seen so many comments on different pages. Oh, he should be stripped. He should be banned from the Olympia. He should look.
Now, first off, thanks, Fuad, for watching the live stream yesterday and taking my talking points. So I know you're watching, Fuad. I know you're watching. I know you're listening to this very episode that I'm recording right now. So thanks for watching and taking my talking points to use on your own show. It's very clearly what I see what's happening here. It's actually hilarious.
Bob is not a judge. Whatever Bob thinks about Samson, Nick, Derek, whatever, it doesn't matter. He's not a judge. He's allowed to have his opinion as long as he does his job properly and announces everybody equally and formally the way he does. I don't see why he's not allowed to have an opinion.
So basically what Fuad is saying is, I don't care that Bob Cicherillo is taking these personal attacks and these digs at Nick Walker, and he should be able to do whatever he wants. Free reign. Doesn't matter. I don't care. He shouldn't be stripped of his MC title of the Olympia. There should be no consequences here. It's a free-for-all. Is that what you want, Fuad Abiad? Looks like it. Looks like you're kind of stabbing Nick Walker in the back and taking Bob Cicherillo's side here. So just find that interesting. And no one here, at least on my show, is saying that Bob should lose his Olympia job as the MC. I'm just saying either pick one. Be the MC and respect the athletes and don't disrespect them, or give up the job and let someone else do it. Who is going to act professional? Like David Bay or someone else. Sid. I don't see those guys trolling athletes, making personal digs at them, making snide comments and remarks about them. They're not doing that. Give them the job then. You just focus on your podcast, Bob. I think that would be a much better look for the Olympia if they had an MC that didn't disrespect one of the biggest athletes going into the show, that placed 3rd at the Olympia and has a very, very large following on social media. It's not a good look. I hope Bob cleans up his act because he is a good MC. He's a great MC. And he's great for that part of the sport because he knows so much. But I hope he stops this kind of nonsense with Nick Walker and everyone can move on from this. But I do like the fact that Bob is very transparent in what he says. It's just unfortunate that he has to be the MC of the Olympia and kind of tarnish the brand a little bit. That's all. He's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, I guess. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. Remember to like and subscribe. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you disagree? Do you agree with kind of what I'm saying? Do you see the points that I'm making about Bob being a hypocrite, about saying there's constructive criticism versus actually personal attacks? Let me know. All right, guys. I love you. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.